Okay, so next let's go to the play time, right? Okay, we've been talking in the first part. I was talking about how okay, I stopped at animals and body parts. So I was now talking about trying to give a break at some point to get your child to play and relax a little bit. Okay, so now let's go to the playtime. You can now go to some other activities. So there are normal activities, educational activities, but it will help your child feel like some play, have some play. It will give your child some play time in between. Okay, so now we can go to the play-doh. The play-doh, pegging, beading, all these ones are for fine motor skills. The play-doh would help your child to build finger muscles, to strengthen the finger muscles. The pegging too will help your child to strengthen this pincer grip muscle, be able to form the tripod or pincer grip muscles. So to try to get him to learn how to form that gripping of a pencil. All right. Then the beading helps your child with hand-to-eye coordination and concentration, focus, and calming. All right. Okay. So you get the play-doh, play with the play-doh as much as possible, play and form things. I have some play-doh here. I have this play-doh here, even though my own is already old. So you can use, in case you're trying to figure out what I mean by play-doh. This is the play-doh. Use it to form something. All this, use it to form something. You can also use mud. You have mud in your area around you. You can use this mud. You use mud to build something. Helps the child. It helps the child to be creative. In building things. Try to make the child to be creative, and at the same time helps the child to build up all those finger muscles. Okay, so I'm trying to form something, but this one is small. This is too small for me. All right, okay, this is it. After putting in, I'm trying to form this finger now. Then I take it out. Yeah, this is fingers, like 2 fingers like this. All right, okay, so play with the play-doh or peg. I didn't bring peg here. I didn't bring my peg here, but you know the peg you use for hanging clothes. You get your child to get something, get a strong piece of paper, a kind of cardboard or carton paper. Get your child to fixing all the pegs, fix them in. After fixing them in, let him take them out and fix again. Let him just keep, even when you are just at home and your child is playing and you're busy, if you have any other person at home with you, you can always tell the person that when your child is playing, let them always play with let them try to also play with the peg. Help the child to keep practicing how to grip a pencil. Okay, so you go to the next one. All these activities that would help the child feel more relaxed. All right, so after doing this one, you can go to the stacking rings. This is my stacking rings. You can do the stacking rings or stacking cups. Take all the rings out and get your child to start putting them back. At the same time, you can teach colors with this. I use this to teach my child colors. Or you can use, after this, you can still do, if you prefer to just use flashcards, after all this play, you can now teach your colors too with flashcards, if you have color flashcards, okay? But remember that when you're doing flashcards, or when you even have to buy flashcards, try to get flashcards that don't have so many things written on them, okay? When you want to get flashcards for animals, you want to get just picture flashcards. You get flashcards with pictures without the names of those animals. All right, especially when you're just introducing all this to your child doesn't talk yet. When your child is talking and is now learning to write, learning to read, you can now start getting, or it's even better, you would even have to get flashcards that have just the words. and not something else with the words. Okay, it's also good. It's good. Maybe when your child is just learning to just pronounce words, like trying to blend words, you'll be using flashcards that just has only that word. All right. But when your child is now able to pronounce some of those words, then you can now use flashcards. When it gets to this stage, you have to be doing those flashcards by yourself. We can now have flashcards with the names, or you can just anyhow you do get flashcards with the names of the things. That's when your child is now reading like 3-letter words and maybe going higher. When you now want your child to now understand hen, pig, all those words, you can now get flashcards with the picture of the animals, picture of the objects with the name, and write the name below. So your child can now relate the name to the object or the animal, okay? But at this stage, when you're just starting therapy, it's always important to just do your flashcards without any other thing written around it. Because when you do, like there's a flashcard I have here, number flashcard I have, I noticed that when I show that to my child, I watch him when I'm just trying to say 1, 2. He will be looking at it and I see his eyes rolling, like he's trying to look around. He's trying to understand what I even want him to get from that picture, because the picture has one figure and it has also words, one written down. It has both figure and words written. All right. So because of that, I don't like my child to be having divided attention when I'm showing him something. I want him to understand what I'm trying to show him and understand that that's just the particular thing I want him to understand. All right. It helps him to learn faster than when something else around the object is distracting him, around the picture you put there is distracting him. Okay. All right. So I use this tool to teach my son colors. When you have this you're trying to teach your child how to put this one after the other, the big one, how to like measure the shapes. How you want your child to be able to stack it according to shapes, know which shape is bigger and which one comes next and which one comes after, right? At the same time, I use it to teach my child. So which one comes next? The blue. The blue comes next. And next is the yellow. 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 You mention it over and over again. The next is orange. Even though when you're starting to teach colors, it might be advisable for you to just introduce 3 colors first, right? So if you're just starting, you may not want to start with introducing so many colors again at first, or you might just decide to use just the 3 colors. I like to use the family colors, right? These ones. So you can just decide to just take out all the other rings and use only these ones at the first until your child starts to understand. Your child mustn't have to identify or mention something before you know your child understands. There are different ways you know your child has started understanding what you're saying. Like if I want to put something and I'm saying blue, what comes next? Blue. You might be watching your child's eyes and you see that he's looking at the blue. He knows the color. When you say blue, he's looking at it. He knows the color. Then you will teach him to use his hand and pick up the blue. You take his hand, pick up the blue to put, because he's the one that will be learning to put this, right? The next one, yellow. Yellow. You take his hand to put it. If you continue doing it like that, using his hand to put it, then your child will learn to pick it up by himself and put. So it will get to a time that when you say which one comes next, a child that is very small, that is still younger than 3 years old or just about 3, may not really understand yet how to put the big one and which one after the other. But you can just use the colors to get him to know which one to put next. You cannot just remove other colors that are conflicting. Then just put distinct ones. You know, this one has like 2 blues. I have to take out 1 blue, the small blue. Then has 2 oranges. I take out 1. All right. Then so just keep the ones that you want him to understand. I'm keeping just these 3. Then I'll keep them down. I'll now tell them which one comes next. I'll tell him the blue, because I have to get him to understand first before he starts putting it. Until when he understands the bigger, the smaller, then he can now start fixing it by himself. But when I'm teaching him color, I can just use this to teach him color. Just keep this one down. Tell him blue. The blue comes next. I tell him pick up the blue. He now put it in. Next, yellow. At first, you'll be using the child's hand to pick it up. After some time, the child will be able to use his hand to pick it up. Next, the red. All right. So this is how you teach your child the colors. Then after a while, when you understand that your child now knows those colors, you can bring out more, maybe like 3 more colors like that. After, when you have introduced it for a long time, you can now start doing everything together. Let him fix everything together. He will start learning the colors. He will catch up with the colors gradually. Okay. So after this, you can do the stacking. You can do the stacking cups too. If you have stacking cups, I have one cup like that I'm using as stacking cup. This is what I'm using as my stacking cup. But you can just get cups of different shapes and get your child to learn to put one after the other. This one gets in. Then the reverse, when you have cups of different shapes, the reverse will be able to work. You put the bigger one down, the smaller one on top, and the smaller one on top, so it keeps going like this. Okay, so that's it for the stacking cups and stacking rings. Then after doing all of these, you can now in between, when you're doing different children, when you're just starting, autistic children most times don't even have so much attention. Some have some little attention span that they can give to you, but some don't even have attention at all to give you. So you start training their attention spans, their attention as you're doing it. I was just going to say that if you see that your child is not paying attention again, it's just totally not interested again, you will stop. Then do plays, nursery rhymes, or try to go outdoors and do outdoor plays. Okay, so you go outdoor, do outdoor play, there is another and there's another thing I didn't mention even in my videos about therapy materials. Okay, there are some balls you can get. There are some small balls, tiny balls that they use for, all these balls that they use for ball pits. If you have seen where they do ball pits play for little children, so you can get those kind of balls, just few of them. You can get those kind of balls, just few of them, and then get your child to transfer balls from one basket to the other. Pick balls, those little balls, from one basket to the other. It helps them to learn how to build concentration. Help them to build concentration and even hand-to-eye coordination, all of that. Okay. Then with that, you can also do other things. You can also do like jumping on trampoline, swinging if you have trampoline around, or swinging around, doing catch, tag, play, run and catch, and other things. Something that will make him get lively again and happy again. And then with that, you can also, after doing all that, you can also now go back to the indoors, to continue. These things you can also, depending on how old your child is. If your child is up to 4 years old, you can finish all this in a day. Have like 2 hours to 3 hours, and have breaks in between to go and play. But if your child is very young, too tender, 2 years, 3 years, you can decide to share this like into 2 parts. You do 1 part today, and the next part, the remaining another day. Or you can just do weekly. In a week, you're just following 1 part because you want to keep repeating what you're doing. You can just share them into 2 and have these specific ones you have to are going to do this week. After repeating all this for a week, then the next week you do the next one. You repeat throughout that next week. Then another week you come back to these other ones. Okay, you can just break it in a way that your child won't feel too worked up, too overwhelmed, like feel like the load, in the way that the load won't be too much for your child. Okay, so then here you can now go back indoors to work more, to continue. Okay, so let's continue with the indoor ones. Back inside. Okay, so back inside, let's continue. It will continue your learning. All right. Okay, so here now you can teach your child how to be creative, like think, how to think critically. You can try to get use toys around to form things, to build things, and a lot of things. There's a lot of things you can do with toys. Just teach your child how to be creative with toys around. Okay, so you can start with fixing of puzzles. If you have puzzles around, you can do the puzzles. Or if you have building blocks, right? If you have building blocks, you can get your child to build things with the building blocks. Think of things to build. Teach your child how to be creative with toys. Okay, so this thing takes time. It's something that he has to keep building on gradually. You have to keep explaining to them. And when you are working with a child with special needs, you have to learn how to be patient, very, very patient. You have to have that. You have to be eager to repeat yourself over and over again. Keep repeating yourself. Keep repeating yourself. Sometimes it seems as if the child doesn't really hear what you're saying. It seems like the child doesn't understand. You might be wondering when on earth the child is going to get all of this you're saying, because you'll be talking and the child doesn't even give you back at that time. But that doesn't mean that the child is not following. They keep storing a lot of all those things you're teaching them inside, but you just have to keep repeating and repeating. That repetition, all the repetitions you're making, would help them to start catching up gradually. Okay, so after you finish teaching them how to be creative, that from there they can also learn like problem thinking, problem solving skills too. They can be able to think of how to go around situations to form a problem. Like this works with like working on puzzle, using that scattered puzzles to form something out of it. And even the building blocks also works. You can also have other things that will help you teach your child how to be creative, how to solve problems, teach your child creative thinking. You can always get resources to know very much more how to help your child develop these skills. Okay, then after this, you can also always remember the family pictures part. I didn't say it earlier though. Okay, so get the family pictures and introduce every member of the family to your child. I don't know where my pictures are. Okay, so just get every picture, show them. Mommy, get the daddy. Who is daddy? Daddy. Show your child. Make sure your child is always focusing on what you're doing. Make sure your child is always looking to see the picture you are showing them. And make sure your child is able to hear you talk, and also able to look at your mouth, how your mouth moves around when you talk. Okay, so daddy. Then you take out that, bring the other picture. Mommy. Do that with all the siblings. Mention all the names of siblings, mention names of parents, and any other person who lives in the house, in the same house with your child. Everybody who lives at home, you need to get them to understand each person's name and be able to call them the right way. Okay, so it continues like that. When someone else comes to the house, maybe a relation, you would also when those people come, you also try to introduce your child. This is this, it is he. Then after that, you now go to social conversation. Always try to teach your child how to converse. Try to get your child to understand when somebody is talking to them and how to respond. All right. Okay, you would have to start with the basic things first. The basic thing that your child should know: their name, how old he is, what he likes, the food he likes to eat, the parent's name, your daddy's name, your mommy's name. But initially you can start with, you have to just go gradually. Don't start to don't load him with so much information at the same time, okay, so that the child will be able to follow easily. All right, okay, so you can start with, what is your name? What is your name? So when you are trying to teach a child, like, what is your name, you want to get him to be able to learn how to respond. I'm trying to get something I can use and introduce that. Okay, so you can just say, you say, what is your name? You take his hand, take your child's hand to their chest and say, the name. Let me assume the child's name is Peter. You say, what is your name? What is your name? Get him to look at you, look at your face. What is your name? Then you take the child's name to himself and say, Peter. What is your name? Peter. You would be responding first. You try to tell him what to respond, but try not to mention the question too much. You can just say, don't say too much of the question, but say a lot of the answers. Like, you can just say, what is your name? Like twice. What is your name? Then you take your hand and say, Peter. Okay. Peter. What is your name? Peter. What is your name? Peter. You know, initially you have to start with just single words. I know the child needs to know that, to say, my name is Peter, but that's not what you're going to say when you're just starting the therapy. Start with just single words. Let the child be able to start to mention single words before you later on, you can start telling them, okay, when the child can now say Peter. When you ask the child, what is your name? And he's able to say Peter, you can now start telling him, teaching him, my name is Peter. My name is Peter, right? Okay, then you can now, from that, you move to, how old are you? I am 4 years old. How old are you? 4 years old. How old are you? You take his hand. 4 years old. 4 years old. Then, from there, when he's able to answer, how old are you? 4 years old. Then you can now start telling him, I am 4 years old. All right. Okay. So from there, you can also move to, like, with those pictures you used for introduction of family members, you can just get those pictures and show them like this. Who is this? Who is this? Mommy. Who is this? Mommy. Mommy. Right? Okay. So that even as you're introducing this mommy, as you're using the name mommy to them, you're also trying to teach them, like, when somebody is asking who is this, it means that the person should say what he thinks that thing you're holding is. All right. Okay. So that's how you keep going. When you're just doing, when you're doing therapy, maybe you can just decide that every week you bring out, you just make up 3 questions you'll be asking for that week, right? Then you'll be asking him that question over and over again. But even your child is still very tiny, very little, and he's not even able to mention anything yet, you might just decide to be asking him maybe about 3, 4, or 5 questions for a whole month, but you just be rotating what you ask, all right, until the child will be able to understand. Especially when the child doesn't even know his name yet, you have to make so much emphasis on the name. What is your name? So that the child will be able to learn your name. You know, the important things you teach your child when a child, if for any way your child misses his way, is important for the child to be able to say his name, then my mommy's name, my daddy's name, right? Okay, so even after introducing, first of all, teach your child the name, let him understand his name. Then when he's able to understand his name, later you move to, what is your daddy's name? What is your mommy's name? Right? Those ones take time though. But most important thing is that the child needs to know his name. That's like the first thing he should know, his name. How are you? Fine. What is your name? Those things. What is your name? Very important. All right. Okay. Then you can, as you keep going, you also start introducing, I want to, we. I want to, we. So the child will start learning how to communicate. Find ways to always teach your child how to communicate. All right. But you have to take it gradually and keep repeating. Don't get tired of repeating. Don't feel like what you're saying is not being understood by the child. Just keep repeating. The child is getting it. It takes some time. With time, the child will start showing science that is able to get all those things you've been saying. Okay. Then from that, you would also move to teaching your child letters. You can now go to letters, 1, 2, 3, numbers, right? Okay, so teach letters the way that is being, the way it's being taught. You have to find out the right way it's being taught in your area, in your environment, in your community, or in your state, right? Or in the school where the child goes to. If they teach your child in school, if they are teaching them, okay, if your child is fully homeschooling, you can teach your child the letters the way you want it. For me, I prefer the sound first. That sounds first actually helped my older son, before introducing the uppercase letters, right? But I know also that in some states, some countries, or some schools, they teach alphabet first, then sound. The alphabet, the uppercase letters together with the sounds, right? Okay. For instance, in my older son, throughout the schools he attended, from toddler's age stage, they always taught him sounds first. They would say a, b, k, d. When you are showing him those flashcards, you make those flashcards. So if they are teaching your child, or if you want to teach your child sounds first, so the flashcards you're going to make will be lowercase letter sounds that you start teaching them first. But if you see that the school your child goes to, or you wish to teach your child uppercase and lowercase together, so you can make flashcards for maybe uppercase first, but you wouldn't have to introduce those two at the same time, right? So you don't want to get the child confused. You can't introduce the two letters to the child at the same time. So maybe you would want to start with uppercase if that is your preference, right? Okay, you can start with the uppercase. You make the ABC letters to Z, the uppercase. So then you will now start showing him the same way. Show him A. Get him to see your mouth when you say it. Then B. Then you can now be saying the A says A, B says B, C says K. But I don't advise that you write the two at the same time. Some people will do uppercase A and little a by the side and be doing A says A. That would be confusing for a child who is autistic. You can do that for a typical child and they will easily understand. But a child who has learning difficulties or learning disabilities, it will be difficult for that child too. It will confuse the child. It's always important to just use, when you're starting to teach them, use single of everything. Don't teach them double or triple at the same time, or don't put too much things on the flashcard that you're showing them at the same time. All right. Then from the letters, you move to numbers. Teach 1, 2, 3. Start with 1, 2, 3 to 5. Then 1, 2, 3 to 10. Gradually be going up. Then you still be doing your own. Show them 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. So at first, you can just, when you're just starting your therapy for the first time, it might be advisable, or it is advisable, to just get only 3 of everything. ABC, ABAC, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Colors, introduce 3 colors first. Everything start with 3 color, 3 of everything. 3 fruits, 3 vegetables at first, so that the child would gradually be learning. Then you can be adding as you progress. Okay. Then after teaching the letters, the sounds, the numbers, you can also proceed to doing scribbling. Teaching the child to scribble, teaching the child to learn how to hold pencil and everything. Okay. Then gradually you'll be doing the educational part gradually according to the child's level. It's always important to follow a particular curriculum when you're teaching your child, and then make an IEP that you'll be following, so that you won't start teaching a child something that is much higher than their age or the level. So at the level where your child is, you know the right, try to find the right resources, to find the right things you're supposed to teach at that level. And when the child is going, and child keeps going higher, you can now be adding. When your child has now understood these ones, you can now add more. When your new child knows this now, you can now add more. Just like when you are introducing vegetables, and when you now know that your child already knows, is able to identify the fruits and identify the vegetables and everything, and your child already knows like 1, 2, 3 to 5 or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to 10, you can now start teaching how to associate quantity with numbers. I know that was a very difficult part for my son, my older son. It took him more than a year, even after being able to identify all the objects around him. It took him so long to be able to associate numbers with quantity, right? So it's also good to start teaching them early. As you know, once you see that they're already able to understand those things, you start teaching them, like when you know this is apple, you now bring 2 apples and say 2 apples. 1, this is 1 apple. 2 apples, 1 and 2. The 2 apples together is 2. 1 and 2 together, 2. All right, you have this one and this other one put together, you have 2. But that is when you have already progressed from the initial part, this introductory part I'm doing now. Okay. All right. So you also teach your child how to understand instructions and follow instructions. Like like when you need your child to pick up something, give me that, take, shut the door, all the activities you do at home, everything that your child understands around him is something you're going to have to teach your child, because your child doesn't have that social skill. Most of the time, these children don't have social skills. You know, the children around us, the typical children around us, most times they learn a lot from peers in school and from playgrounds and from a lot of places. But your own child, who is a special needs, I know a typical child starts to learn from the home though, but at the time they start to go to school, they learn so much in school. But for your child who is a special needs child, that child learns 90% of the things he knows would be learned from the person who spends time the most with him. All right. So that's why it's very important for the parents who spend time, or maybe relations who spend time with these people, to get very much involved in their therapy. Okay. So you teach your child, like, let me assume, okay, you want your child to pick up something for you. Say, pick up that for me. Give me the apple. Pick up the apple. Most times these children don't understand. Some people are always bothered that when they are pointing, their children are not able to follow the direction of their fingers to understand what they are pointing at. It's difficult for autistic children. You have to teach them. You have to, if you're pointing, pick that, and the child doesn't understand it, you have to get their hands, move to what you're talking about, pick the apple. You get the hand, pick up the apple, and come and give you. Give me apple. You hold the hand and put into your own hand. Give me apple. Pick the apple, take their hand, pick up, right? Then you want the child to teach the child how to shut the door, open the door. You take the child's hand to the door. Hold the hand, open the door, open, shut, open, shut. So it's very important to always try to demonstrate what you're trying to teach your child, okay? So that it will be easy for him to understand what you're saying. If you teach them with demonstration, play, in any way you have to express yourself, but you have to show them what you're trying to them to do. Show them how they will understand. Relate everything you're teaching them to reality, to how they appear, or how they move, how they walk, everything that you're teaching them. Try to relate it to the real life appearances and real life functioning of those things. Okay, so this is very important. Then another thing you also have to teach your child is you have to just among all the things you have to do at home, have time for indoor therapy and also have time for outdoor therapy, like the play therapy outside, and try to build your child's social skills by taking your child to parks to play with other children. Get involved in bringing your child to play with the other child. All right. But if you have a therapist too who works with your child, also try to get your therapist maybe when you don't have time, or someone you have trained to work with your child who may not be necessarily a licensed therapist. If you have taught somebody to also help you to take care of your child, also like get the person to be able to initiate play. Get the child, teach your child how to initiate play when they are among other of their friends, when he's among his peers. Teach them how to learn to initiate play. All right, okay. Then create time for sand play. Teach your child how to play on the sand. Play, it helps their sensory development. It also helps with their gross motor skills, fine motor skills. So teach your child how to play in the sand. Get all those sand, all those beach buckets for children that has a lot of accessories in it. Get them for your child. Teach your child how to let your child do carrying of loads, to building of sand castles, walking on bare foot on rough surfaces, on gravel, on sand. It also helps their sensory integration. Okay, so your child, get your child, when your child is playing and scooping sand into bucket, scooping sand helps with motor movement of the muscles of the body. Scoop sand into the bucket, then get your child to carry the bucket from one particular position to the next, pour it out, then come back. And all those plays help children to develop in many ways that we don't even know, we may not even understand, but all those things helps that child to develop a lot of senses in the body, and even the that carrying of loads too helps the child to strengthen, helps to build up the finger muscles too. It also helps to build finger grip, helps the child to be able to easily build a finger pencil grip on the fingers. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do with your child. You can do at the beach, do castles. You can also do mud play. Find time to go outside, spend time with your child outside, do mud play, jump, go to the playground, jump on the trampoline. If your child is hyperactive, try to always get your child to walk, do a lot of activities that will help them burn their energy, so that the time they come home, they'll be able to relax and do some things at home. Some activities you might want them to do at home, you'll be able to calm down more to do those things. You can jump around, get your child to jump around on the trampoline very well, swing. You can play ring around the roses. A lot of things with your child. You can play anything that will make your child spin. Anything that will make your child really burn energy, jump, burn, and help your child to do a lot of activities that will help them burn the energy. It helps them to now calm down more. And maybe when you're doing some classes, when you're doing all those, when you're having sessions with your child and your child is getting worked up, from time to time, if your child is very hyperactive, from time to time, just make sure you're putting a lot of playtime in between, a lot of time to do concentration activities like sorting of colors, sorting of cardboard. You can cut cardboard in different shapes, like different colors of cardboard, the big one and the tiny small one, and get your child to sort them, match the colors to the right ones. Okay, then the beading also helps your child to concentrate, to help calm the child down and get to concentrate more. Then you can get your child to fill buckets, take water from one bucket to the other, take water from one bucket to the other, just separate buckets in different places. Get your child to fill water from one bucket to the other and everything. And also, at the same time, then if your child is now much older, a child who is much older, you can now get him to start filling water from a bucket into a bottle, right? That one also helps them to build concentration. Okay, so also try to take your child to supermarkets, try to take your child to a lot of places so that he will understand his environment. But when you go out, always be very, very careful with handling of your child. You know, some children, my big son had attention deficit when he was little. Now most of his attention has really built up well. A lot of them have already developed well. But at that time that my son was little, if you take him out, if you lose a grip on him, if you lose your grip on him for just a second, you won't see him. He will get missing. He would run. He likes to run. He will start running and screaming and laughing. He'll just be running and laughing. And when he runs, he doesn't watch where he's going to. If there's a gutter in front of him, he will fall inside it. If he sees someone on the road, if there is anyone that he misses, he will bump into the person, and he wouldn't even know that he bumped into someone. He didn't know danger. He didn't even know when there was a car around. He would just be running and be laughing. Okay, so you also have to be very, very careful when you go out with your child who is autistic. Always make sure that you hold your child very well when you go out, even as much as it's very, very important to take them out to also teach them about their environment. It's also very, very important to make sure that you take very good care of them when you go out. Don't leave your child under the care of a nanny or something when you go out, because the nanny will not take care of your child the way you want your child to be taken care of. And most of the time, the nanny will not even understand your child well. They might be expecting that this child already knows that they're supposed to sit down. You carry your child and keep somewhere, sit here, I'm coming. Maybe you keep your child under someone's care. You might just take your child and keep your child somewhere and say, oh, sit here, Peter, sit here, I'm coming. By the time you come back, you won't see your child again. When you ask your nanny, you say, oh, I told him to sit down here, because they don't even understand that when you're even telling the person, this child does not understand that, they will not understand. So not everybody that will understand. It's only a trained person that would understand how to take care of your child. So when you go out with your child, always be careful how you handle them, how you allow them out of don't even allow your child out of your sight at all. So take your child to the supermarket, buy things in the supermarket, and teach them that this is how you buy things. You buy, after buying, you pay so this at this place, and you get your change, and then they give you your load. The things you bought, you're going to pay for them here, and you take them home. It's also important. It's always good to teach them. Try to take your child to parties, birthday parties, when other kids are having parties. Take your child there to explain to them what they are doing here. This person is doing birthday. Birthday is every year when they give birth, the day they give birth to you, after, and every year you add another year. That means it's your birthday. When even their own birthday, you try to explain to them, today is your birthday, you have added one more year. You were 6 last year, now you are 5. You were 3 last year, now you are 4. That's because today is your birthday. You have added extra 1 year to your age today. Okay? So you keep talking to them like that. They will understand one day. That thing you're saying, don't even assume that they are not getting you. They are getting it, but it goes in very, very gradually. They catch it little by little. And it's only when you continue repeating and repeating that they will be able to end up understanding that and start to like relate everything you're telling to the real life appearance or occurrence of that. Okay. Also, then that's it. Take your children to parties, other children's parties, and also if you guys are having family gatherings, always try to take your child. No, just try anything you can do. You might, as a parent, you may not always have enough time to do a lot of activities with your child, but as much as you can, just try to also take your child out to the family gatherings and be with them and teach them, talk to them about what is happening. All right, okay. Some people just don't like to take their autistic children out because they are ashamed of what people will say. So don't even look at what people are going to say. That only happens in this part of our country, some parts of our country, because we don't have the awareness yet. We don't have enough quality awareness about autism yet. That's why there's still discrimination like that. But don't look at what people are saying. It's only when you ignore every other person's opinion and do what you know is right for your child. When you put all your energy in doing this therapy for your child, that's when you will see it working. By the time everything starts to work, you would even be very surprised at how everything. Do you know when I look at my son now, my big son, he's 7 years old now. He started speaking for the first time when he was 5 years and 7 months, 5 years and 8 months. He started talking in single words. But this year now, he started talking in simple sentences. But you have to keep prompting him. Sometimes I will notice he wants to say something, but if you don't come and ask him I keep asking him, insisting. So what do you say? Try to say it out. Okay, so what is it? What is it? What do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? Is it daddy? Is it mommy? Is it, what did Ike do? What did this person, when you start asking him a lot of things, he will now open mouth and say out, I want this, or daddy pushed it, daddy poured water on me, all those things. He says things, he talks, he's making a lot of efforts. And apart from just talking, my son does very, very well in school, very, very greatly in school. The way we work with him, he catches up very well in school. And apart from just school, my son is very disciplined, because my mother-in-law will always call me disciplinarian. That what am I doing like old disciplinarian at home? I said those days when we were growing up, I just said that I know what I want. I know what I want for my child. I know what I want my child to learn. My son, who is autistic now, when he's doing some activities, you wouldn't believe he's autistic. My son, if he's playing with water, maybe say you have keep a bottle of water, he will just be opening and closing. You'll be telling him, close that, Chudi, keep that bottle. He'll be playing with it. If by any chance that water spills on the floor, the way Chudi will just do, immediately it spills on the floor, he will just run and be looking for, if my mommy is there, looking for where mommy is. If I'm not there, he will run and go and get mop immediately, or rag, any rag he sees. Sometimes he will even use maybe hand rag, kitchen rag for plates. He might even use it and go and wipe the thing. But he always knows that what he did is wrong. He has to clean it up. He run and go to the kitchen and get all these things. He started doing this year, but all these things are things I started working on him with. I started working on all these things with him since 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and this is the 7th year. Everything is now manifesting. So, why I'm saying all this is that I'm trying to encourage everyone that even though you know that a lot of things you do for an autistic child, a lot of things, activities you do during therapy, a lot of things you try to teach an autistic child, does not come immediately, depending on the level of autism. You know, some people's case are mild, some are moderate, some are on the high side. Depending on the level, your own child may not come now. The other person's child might start talking like a year later after they started therapy. But that doesn't mean that your own therapy is not working. So don't look at what others are doing. Don't look at how other person's own are going. Just try to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Follow the right things you're supposed to do for your child. By the time everything starts to work out well, you'll be very surprised, and you'll just be amazed at what you can even do, at your own potential. You will not know what you can as a parent. You cannot know the potential you might have to offer to your child, or even to another child that has special needs. But by the time you start working on this, by the time if you keep doing it and continue, and if you persist, if you don't relent in doing all these things, by the time the results start to come, you yourself, you will just be so amazed. You'll be surprised at what you could do. So I'm just here to encourage all of you that we should put all efforts we can. No matter how you might be seeing your child now, your child is 3 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years, and he's not talking. Don't worry. As far as you're doing the right thing, as far as you're putting a lot of effort, as far as you're putting a lot of work in it, by the time you see the results, you'll be very happy, and you'll thank God for crowning your efforts. All right. Okay. So that's it for now. See you guys later. Bye.